Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. How are you all doing? My name's Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel. Going to be looking at quite an important subject today because it's going to affect you, whether you know it or not, for the next couple of years. We have Saturn in Aries. It was heralded in yesterday. It's going to be with us on and off until 2028. So it's going to be really important that we understand how to navigate and handle these quite different energies. Saturn and Aries seem on the surface to produce some type of conflict or incompatibility, but actually if we understand how to work with them, we can really bring some breakthroughs into our lives and also into the collective. So let's look at the dates of when this is all going to be happening. Also, I'd like in this video to talk about colour energies that I think are going to be very supportive. We're going to be working with the dragon energy. Archangel Metatron is here. Also, I feel the presence of Kali Ma, who I feel symbolises that Aries energy pretty well. We're going to be bringing through some messages from Spirit, using some cards, and just seeing really what wants to come through. This is very much, as I say, a preview. It's a subject we're going to have to probably come back to over and over again throughout the next couple of years. But let's give it a go. Let's see what wants to come through today. Before I get started though, if I may, can I just say to my Diamond members that I am doing a live stream with you this Saturday, the 31st of May, 6 p.m. GMT. I will remind you as the week progresses, but do look out for that. If you want to join my membership, there are 3 tiers. Sapphire, Emerald and Diamond. The link to join and the details is always in the pinned post below all of my videos. Anyhow, enough of that. Let's now get to the subject of today, which is Saturn in Aries. And yeah, this is a big deal because the last time we had this energy in town was 1999. And I don't know about you, but 1999 was a pretty big year for me. Explosive year, actually, a year that changed everything, changed my relationships, changed where I'm living, changed what I was doing. Everything changed. So yeah, have a think back to 1999. Where were you? What was going on? What were you doing? And here we come again, Saturn in Aries. So from yesterday, we heralded its arrival. It's going to be with us until September, the beginning of September of this year. And then it sort of retrogrades back into Pisces for a little while. And then it's firmly established back in Aries from February the 14th, 2026 through till April 2028. So yeah, definitely needing to understand how to ride these waves of change and transformation. And more than anything, the phrase that I have in my head is growing up. For all of us, growing up spiritually, growing up in our practice, growing up and maturing in our own lives, bringing maturity and wisdom rather than staying in what I've written down here, feel as though could be, if we're not careful, more infantile loops. Nobody wants to stay in an infantile loop. And what I mean by an infantile loop is where you are just repeating patterns over and over again. Metatron gave me the analogy of the fairground ride, and he said, you know, you don't, it's the case of not wanting to get off to experience another ride in the fairground. What is the fairground? The fairground is planet Earth. It's this life that you came to experience and savor and learn from and grow from. And why would you want to stay just doing the same thing in the same way, with the same mindset, with no growth. From a soul's perspective, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So we have Saturn in Aries that's coming in to really rip up the rule book, is what I'm hearing, and present us with opportunities, pathways to new possibilities, but with that Saturn influence is really going to try to help us see and learn what is best for us for long-term growth, stability, steadiness, and soul nourishment. So I think to start off with, it might just be worth refreshing our memory with regards to some of the qualities of Aries and then some of the qualities of Saturn. It should also be said that I have read, I'm not an astrologer, I'm not coming to you as an astrologer, I'm coming to you as an intuitive, but I have read other astrologers who have said that particularly the cardinal signs, which would be Cancer, Aries, Libra and Capricorn, are going to be particularly affected. Also, some people also saying that Aquarians will be also. But over and above whether you are one of those signs or not, everybody is going to feel I'm hearing the sting in the tail of Saturn in Aquarius. And, you really got to consider whether that sting is there to poison or to help revive you. So, the other thing to also mention is that if you've got a Saturn return within this period between now and 2028, which would include me, I'll be having my second Saturn return in that time period, then that's going to be a big shake-up as well. Saturn returns are always big shake-ups, but having one during Saturn in Aries is going to be quite the eye-opener, Metatron is saying. So no fear on this channel, okay? No fear needed. What we need to get into is a state of anticipatory delight, is what Metatron is saying. Anticipatory delight. It's as though I'm seeing our souls rubbing their hands together with glee in terms of whoopee, finally, freedom to try new things, be new versions of ourselves, grow into that which we were always meant to be. But we're going to need probably a bit of help and a bit of support along the way. So let's start off with these qualities then of Aries and Saturn. As I say, this is not an exhaustive list. You can go and look yourself at what it means, but these are just some that came to me to flavour this video, to get us started, to whet our appetite. So Aries, of course, is a fire sign. It feels an energy which is fast, spontaneous, dynamic, motivated, can be also risk-taking, adventurous, youthful, which doesn't have to just be about your actual physical age, just a youthful spirit, passion, go, go, go type energy. And then we have Saturn, which on the surface can feel a little bit more plodding, but if you actually scratch beneath the surface, there is such depth and wisdom and maturity within the Saturn energy that actually it is a perfect complement to the Aries that is also in town energetically. So words that we would use to describe Saturn would be steady, assured. It's often referred to as old father time. It's the teacher. It's about don't run before you can walk. It is about patience, discipline, structure, responsibility. So I'm being shown here by Metatron a set of scales, and of course Saturn can also be linked into the energy of karma as well, but I'm being shown the set of scales here more with regards to just these very different energies. It's like almost like a push-pull type energy. On one hand, wanting to sprint down the road, experience everything that there is to be offered. On the other hand, Saturn pulling us back and urging caution, making sure you have your checklist done. Have you taken, the precautions that are needed, etc. But ultimately, both of them, when they are working well together, can really be the perfect recipe for something very good for you in your life over the next couple of years. So let's get to some cards and also colours. And I was thinking, because I'm a colour therapist, if you've just stumbled on this video and don't know who I am, amongst other things, I'm a colour therapist. So I'm always interested in the colours that symbolise an era. If you think about the Aquarian age as well that we're moving into, most people would probably agree that the Aquarian age seems to blend itself rather nicely with the colour turquoise. And the colour turquoise, of course, is about many things, but it's about flow, it's about trust, it's about faith, it's about creativity, it's about new technologies and new inventions. So what would the colour of Saturn be? What would the colour of Aries be? I think Aries is quite easy to identify because straight away we see red. To me, Aries is a red energy, linked, of course, also into the fire elemental aspect that it also holds. But if we think about red as a colour energy, red can absolutely also be about stop, knowing when to stop. Sometimes maybe not knowing when to stop, not knowing when there is danger, not knowing when the risk is too great to take. Saturn will come in, as I say, and calculate, is the risk worth taking? But red also has all the qualities that I've just described with regards to Aries. It's motivated, it's energetic, it's fast, it's enthusiastic, etc. So red for Aries is a given. So if you're somebody that is lacking in that va-va vroom and get up and go, using the red energy is really going to help you through the next couple of years. And of course, red as a colour energy anyway is linked into our base chakra, and it is the fire that we all need to help get us up in the morning, to be able to achieve anything really through the day. So the red energy, working with the base chakra energy, very, very helpful over the next few years. It's always helpful, but it's particularly going to be highlighted, and all red issues are going to be highlighted. And what I mean by red issues are the energy of relationships, including the relationship you have with yourself. The relationship you have with money. Money is a red energy. The relationship that you have with your health. Health is a red energy. The relationship you have with your home, your residency, is a red energy. All of these base chakra energies are red energies, and they tie into the Aries energy, which is just asking us to take note of what's going on within ourselves with regards to red qualities. Of course, the other thing that comes into red is anger, being quick to anger or being impatient, being frustrated. These are also red qualities. So red links to Aries. What colour would go with Saturn? The colour that goes with Saturn is violet, and violet has many connotations, but if you think about it, violet primarily is about balance, and Saturn is about trying to bring balance. It's about trying to bring steadiness. It's about trying to balance the books. It's about growth, which you need, but it needs to be steady growth which can endure. So if we think about Saturn as being a violet energy. Of course, violet is also linked into the higher realms and spirit, as well as being about balancing all areas of our life, including the material and spiritual world as well. I was sort of thinking about my sprays and thinking, I wonder what Saturn would be in a bottle, and I wonder what Aries would be in a bottle. And oh my God, I suddenly realized I have got a color combination sitting in our collection that is absolutely perfect for these next few years. Some of you might know what it is because you've got some of my sprays, but it's perfect because it's also a dragon. It's the violet dragon, but look at those colours. We've got the bright red of Aries, the fire, the dragon breathes fire. We've also got this beautiful violet base. And violet is also, of course, linked into transmutation. Think of the violet flame. It's about letting go. It's about forgiving. And there's going to be a need for forgiving through these next couple of years, certainly at the collective level, but also with regards to our own lives. Because as I've channeled before, what keeps coming through is that forgiveness is the one thing that's blocking our growth. So working with violet energy can also help us to step into the energy of transmutation, but also forgiveness. And that is absolutely a path that you have to follow. It's not just a moment in time. So the violet dragon, and we've named this spray. It's one of our most popular sprays anyway, but it's called Master Clearance and Danger Defense Spray. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but when it came through, that was what it wanted to be called. Master Clearance and Danger Defense Spray. And I'll give you just a very day-to-day example of using this. I have just come back from Yorkshire, visiting my dad, had a lovely trip, but it's 6 hours on the train, swapping trains, all sorts of things. And so I use this before starting my traveling. Think about what we are doing. We're about to travel through Saturn in Aries. But anyway, back to me and my little life. I sprayed it before the day started and I had to do my traveling. And what I asked the violet dragon to do was to clear the pathway where possible. So if you think about a Saturn in Aries pathway, let me just spray this. There are going to be you see, I don't even want to use the word obstacles. I'm just being shown a path which has got some boulders or potential blocks for you to navigate over the next couple of years. But the violet dragon's energy and your own higher self's energy will help you be able to not circumnavigate them, so you're not aware that you're not even aware that they're there, because then you wouldn't be learning anything, but choosing the wisest route through them. And I'm being shown something which I saw on social media the other day. You might have seen it. It was a piece of footage of 2 little boys. I think they were Chinese little boys. And they were just standing in a hallway. And somebody had put a piece of tape, just like not a rope, but, just a very loose piece of tape that you could easily just have swatted away with one hand. But in many ways, it was barring them from moving through the hallway. And the 2 little boys had completely and utterly different reactions. One little boy got very, very upset and didn't know what to do, and was just standing there looking very powerless and like, what do I do? I can't move forward. I can't get to wherever I need to be getting to. But his little friend standing beside him just wasn't at all perturbed by the same set of circumstances and potential challenge. And he just lifted up this really flimsy, tape and just went underneath that. And then as soon as the boy who was distressed saw what his friend had done, he realised that it was easy. It was a bit like an eight of swords in the tarot moment, that actually it was much easier to get out of this seemingly impossible block that was in front of him. Just needed to use a different mindset and a different set of skills, which we all actually have, because we're all born with the same ability to be able to get through something like that. So that's sort of what I'm being shown here, that violet dragon can help us can help us with. So yeah, I love those two colours, but really any colour that's either a combination of lavender or violet and red, or working with the individual energies separately. So I will link below some suggested sprays if you're interested. Many of you are using them already, but for lavender, well, we have got one which is called the Lavender Soul Star Chakra, would be perfect. There's also a red crimson base chakra spray which would be perfect. But an ascended master that really wants to come in, I feel, quite quickly and swiftly. I'm just feeling her energy like a blade, really, is Kali Ma. So Kali Ma, we named warrior goddess energy of liberation and rebirth. Liberation and rebirth, Kali Ma. Kali Ma is a Hindu goddess, for those of you that don't know. She's known for being able to go onto a battlefield and to clear the battlefield of demons or negative energies. So again, a bit like the violet dragon, she can help clear your pathway. But again, it's this thing about not expecting it just to be done for you, because she's only going to come in and help you if you are also helping yourself. And I think that's true of all the ascended masters, because actually if we go back to Saturn in Aries, there are lessons that we are meant to be learning from this next chapter. There is maybe karma that needs to be cleared up, completed, worked through, reflected on, integrated, etc. And there's no getting around that, okay? But there are going to be moments on your path through 2028 where, having done the work and having sat with it and having looked at it, you can call on these energies, whether they be dragons, Kali Ma, Metatron, to come in and help you take out the final remnants. I'm being shown it a bit like a spider web. Your job is to make your way through to the center of whatever it is you're meant to be looking at and experiencing, but there can be some cleanup agents effectively that are also working with you. So the ascended masters are showing themselves as cleanup agents, and actually what I'm being told is that this Saturn in Aries energy is a cleanup agent. Let me just write that down because that feels really important. A cleanup agent. So let me just go with that. So cleanup agent. I'm being shown us a bit like the children that we really are. We come in as children and we have that spirit of youthfulness and inquisitiveness, and a child will stick his hand into a hot pan of water unless you tell him that actually that's not a good idea. It's through trial and experimentation and experience that we learn what is good for us and what is not good for us. And it feels as though we're at a time now where, for whatever reason, without any judgment, many of us have got ourselves into a bit of a sticky mess. Now, you might not look at your life and think it's a sticky mess, but I'm telling you that there's some aspect that is a sticky mess. And I think we have to hold our hands up sometimes and say, actually, in this part of my life, there looks like there's quite a bit of order. It's all ticking over quite nicely. But in this area of my life, I'm a hot mess. Okay? I'm a hot mess when it comes to this particular relationship, this particular thing, this particular addiction, this particular quality that I don't like about myself, but I can't let go of it because it's ego and it's pride. And then multiply that out into the collective. And if you don't think we're in a sticky hot mess, then I don't know what planet you're on, because planet Earth right now is in a mess. A sticky mess. So we need the cleanup agents. But it's a bit like, what I've always said about no one's coming to save us. We are the ones that save ourselves. We are the cleanup agents. We are the cleanup agents in our own life, and we are the cleanup agents in the world as well. I'm also feeling that Saturn in Aries is going to bring into our awareness more of the damage that's being done to the environment, and also into our own bodies. And I'm being shown, and I know this isn't new news for anybody, but it's just going to be more and more highlighted. Things such as microplastics within the oceans, microplastics within our body, within our brain. All of this needs clearing up. There need to be solutions coming in to help us with the mess that we've got ourselves and our world into. But remember, it starts with us. It starts with us choosing better. Taking the example I've been given here, microplastics, it starts with choosing products that are not encased in plastic, maybe, or that are in glass, or it's a whole big subject, that. So we'll just park that for one moment. It's important, but I don't want to get too much off track. So we are the cleanup agents. Okay, let's go to some cards. I wondered what decks to use, and I'm going to use a couple of different decks, but there's one which is by a lady called Dina Roseberry. I'll always be indebted to her, because she was the lady that saw my potential and said yes to the Archangel Metatron deck. She has produced a deck. It's not new. It's quite a few years old now, but it's called the First Light Tarot, and I've used it before. Many of you might remember that I've used it before, and what it has as its pictures is pictures from space, including nebula, images of nebula. So I thought, yeah, we're talking about Saturn, space. This seems a good deck to use. So I'm going to pull a couple of cards from this, the First Light Tarot, and see what we get. And I think the first question to ask it will be, what can we expect, please, from Saturn in Aries? This deck, it has got most of the major arcana in it, not the minor arcana. So let's just have a look. Oh, I need to put that card back. Sorry, I had this card out, which is the card of the Hierophant. That feels quite important. That was sitting on my grid, so let's put that one back in. So what can we expect from Saturn in Aries, please? We've got card number 1. It says love and light, and it says source. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the Hanged Man, Crossroads. I'll show you the cards in a moment. I just want to pull 4, and I'm also going to refer to the book, actually, because it's quite an unusual deck, this. Okay, we want that one, which is 17, Star, Potential. That's nice. What can we expect, please, from Saturn in Aries? Resistance. Okay. I want to start with the first card, and I need to actually go to the book to understand its message. I mean, I understand what love and light is, but I want to know what she meant by it in this particular deck. So the first card that comes out is this one. Love and Light. It says this is the God or Source card. Right, what can you expect? And with the first card out is God or Source. This is the God or Source card, and it reminds you that at any given moment, any question of the smallest nature, any assistance that you need, any comfort that is required, can send the Source to you with the wings of power and love. Energy spinning, healing light, protective vigour, rest and transformation can be yours as soon as the thought is released from your mind that you need it. The Source employs the number of supernatural and natural individuals to provide your enlightenment. Archangels, angels, guides, even other humans will show up at the right time to help you with any dilemma you have. Synchronicity is alive. The universe has often been part of this army of goodness and has been there with you at your darkest hours and your moments of celebration as well. What a beautiful card. This is linked into male energy. Male energy is about new starts, forging ahead, and high energy. So what can we expect from from Saturn in Aries, God, basically? And what we mean by that is that we are held, we are supported, that we can always turn to God and his intermediaries, and by that I mean the angels, the ascended masters, the dragons, to help us. That there is nothing bigger than God. There is no problem that is bigger than God. There is no obstacle that is bigger than God. There is no restriction that is bigger than God. That God has got this. And it also came with the card of the Hanged Man, crossroads, transition, turning points and decisions. I find that quite an interesting card to come with the card of God, source. And I think what it's saying is that maybe you, but equally I think it's the collective, is having a rethink with regards to what God is, how God can help us in our life. It has to be also linked into traditional religion and the infrastructure around that. There's a crossroads moment coming. Now, awakening and the ascension journey is going to bring a clean-up agent to religious institutions, of course. So it's that, but it's also maybe our expectation of needing a third person or an intermediary to act on behalf of us for God or to talk to God, that we can connect with that God light and that source light. And I know many of you know that you don't need an intermediary or a middleman to talk to God, as it were, or to tell you what God's guidance is. But remember, there are billions of people that still do believe that that is necessary. So Saturn in Aries is going to shake that up. And we've got the Star card, which is success, happy endings, promising beginnings. That's lovely. And this card is reminding me of the age of Aquarius as well. I mean, I know it's the Star card, which is linked into Aquarius, but this is the card of dreams. It's the card of possibilities, potentiality. It's saying that if you can dream it into being, it can be yours, but not in a ungrounded, unrealistic way in terms of I'm going to win the lottery or anything like that. It has to be working with your higher self, and for the greatest good of your life and those around you and the collective. We've also got the card of resistance, and I think more than anything is that the card of Saturn actually? Let me just have a look. It might be, because you'll see it's the card of resistance, but it also looks like it's got rings around that planet. So let's just have a look at this particular card number 8. Right, what it says is resisting can be dire. I don't think it does necessarily link to Saturn, but I'm going to take it that it is linked to Saturn. Although Saturn is often linked into the number 8, so maybe it is. It says resisting can be dire, but it can also be productive, depending on your circumstances. Find the middle road until you know what is right, then move forward. Refusing to give in to enlightenment or awakening will put you in a state of wrong thinking, thereby lowering your vibration and putting your body at risk. Your brain and DNA are changing even now, preparing you for transformation. It is time to find out exactly what you are resistant to. What are you not allowing into your life that could put you into the labyrinth of learning? Do not hide your heart or refuse to recognize that you are part of the plan. yeah, it does feel very Saturnian, this. There's something here also about Saturn in Aries bringing in more awakening on the planet. I mean, yes, that's a given. But what this is saying, that there's going to be certain quarters of the world and also maybe parts of you that resist this awakening. So number one, we can see it already. People who are just resisting what is right in front of their face. Things that are coming up, things that are being revealed. I don't want to look at it, I don't want to know, because it challenges my view of the world. It challenges what I've decided in the past, decisions that I've made that might be wrong. I do not want to know. It's also, I just don't want to awaken. I don't want to grow. So we can see that out there in others, but we're also being told that there is a resistance within ourselves to awaken. And that can be challenging to hear, because we like to think that we are just flowing like the river. But the truth is that there's always going to be parts of ourselves that are harder to open up and look at and bring light into, which is what awakening is, than others. So Aries in Saturn is basically saying, you are going to be forced to look at what you don't want to look at. But if we can balance out these energies, bring the youthful vigor and enthusiasm of Aries and the respectful, wise teacher and holding space of Saturn, it's easier. But if we fight it and fight it and fight it, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult if you do that. Let's pull a couple of cards from this deck now, which is the Lantern Oracle. I felt very called to use this today. So let's have a look. So if we resist... Sorry, there was one card turned over, which always... what am I trying to say? Distracts me. So if we resist, interesting, what a beautiful card that is. Can you see that? Firstly, can you see that? It shows a wise older lady. And it says the inner life. It says your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. Now, I feel as though that older lady... And age is just a number, so you can be an old soul, or you can have wisdom and maturity when you're in your 20s. You can also have people who are absolute fools and infants who are in their 80s. Okay, so this is an emotional maturity, it's a spiritual maturity. But she has looked at her stuff, effectively. She's looked at her stuff. I mean, look at that. It feels as though she's at one with the universe. She's at one with the cosmos. She's understanding her place in it. She feels at peace with it. She feels in a state of acceptance, a state of healing. What's this that she's doing with her thumb? I'm sure it's a mudra or something that she's doing there. But anyway, she's just very settled. But you can see in her face, it's like when you look at an older person's face, you can see the life that they've lived. If they haven't Botoxed the hell out of it. I like to see somebody with age and wrinkles. It shows they've lived a life. It's the same if you look at somebody's hands. You can see somebody who's actually who's worked, who's had a hard-working life, who's toiled the earth or built rigs or whatever they've done, versus being a bit of a pampered princess type energy, So... there's this thing also, this is lovely. There's something here about Saturn in Aries. I mean, God, I hope this is true. I hope this is me just not dreaming it in, but I'm feeling this is coming from spirit. Society getting to a point where it wants to lose its foolish ways, its childish ways. It is a growing up period for us as a world, and maybe starting to respect and look up to elders more. Or if not elders, certainly those that have done the work, you know. People always ask me at this point, what do you mean by doing the work? And I think there is this misunderstanding with regards to this, that somehow doing the work is having to go off and do a retreat or read a book, or I have to do this exercise and then I've done the work. No, doing the work is living and being heart-centered consciousness, looking at your stuff, forgiving, being humble, all of the things that really I've put into the 2 self-mastery decks over the last few years. There's a Christ consciousness self-mastery deck, there's an Archangel Metatron self-mastery deck. The reason I called them self-mastery decks is because they've both got 55 qualities in them, 55 things that we have to do, or don't have to do, but are invited to do, that are going to help our soul's growth, that are about doing the work, whether that is about being grateful, whether it's about meditation and prayer and stillness, whether it's about being in tune with nature, whether it's about conquering fear, whether it's about detaching from drama. That is doing the work. All of this is doing the work. So how we behave, how we operate, what we do, what we say, and being conscious of that and checking ourselves is doing the work. I did it, well, hopefully I do the work every day, but I'll just give an example. Before going on to do this video, I'm human. I was just, over breakfast, I was scanning the news, I saw something that was a bit triggering. It was actually just a celebrity thing, it wasn't anything that deep, but I was triggered and I nearly went to write a comment, and then I thought, what are you doing? Why are you even wanting to respond to that? You know, don't put negativity out there. Ridiculous. Cancel, clear, delete. Don't do it. Now send some positive light to that particular person. That is doing the work, because you're becoming aware of when your light is low and when your light is shining. And at that point, my candle's just gone out. I love it. So we need to light a new candle. Having said that, have I got one to light? I'm going to have to go off camera now and get one. Hold on. This is important. Right. Beautifully staged, that Metatron. You can't make this stuff up. So doing the work is keeping our light alive and relighting it when we know that we've dipped into shadow or fear or negativity or poison or whatever it is. Keeping the light alive is doing the work. But anyway, back to this card, the inner life. So there she is in all her beauty and glory. She's lived a life. So I'll tell you what, Saturn in Aries, put it this way, by the end of 2028, whenever it closes out, when does it close out? Let me just go back to my notes. April 2028, I feel as though we're all going to say, I've lived a lifetime in the last few years. I mean, some of us might feel that already, because certainly since 2020, the world's gone a bit bonkers and mad, and it's like, well, can't we just go back to a slower pace? No, not with Saturn in Aries. So again, knowing how to ride the waves. Does this lady look as though she knows how to ride the waves? I would say yes. Does it look as though anything's particularly going to rock her? No. She's steady. She's also, let me go to what it actually says in the book. I feel as though we need a bit of what it says in the book. Card number 43. 4 and 3 makes 7. Linking into Neptune, flow, trust again, water energy. Definitely a lot of purging and cleansing and watery emotions coming up. Card number 43. Right. It says your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. The more we tune into our inner light or spirit self, the more we live our outer life through it. The more transparent we become, the more our inner life is reflected back to us through the intimate connections we enjoy with others and our surroundings. Without a solid and healthy sense of self, communing with spirit self, there is only ever smoke and mirrors. To relate to others from this facade or false self is to forge false connections that create distance rather than closeness. Deep, this is very Saturnian, deep and lasting relationships become possible once we have established such a relationship with ourselves. This is maturity, spiritual maturity. The journey home to spirit self provides us with a genuinely secure foundation to build our lives upon. Coming home to the loving white light within transforms our limitations and blind spots into pathways without. I love it. Yes. So Saturn in Aries, it's shining a light on all our blind spots. Oh, yes. I'm going to have to write that one down. Light on the blind spots. Oh, it's going to be fun, guys. We're going to have to keep our sense of humour, and we're going to have to, more than anything, try to sink into humbleness, because the ego is not going to like the fact that the light is being shone on our blind spots. We've all got them. Every single human being has got a blind spot, or many. And it's what we don't want to look at. Usually about ourselves or about another. You know, this could be about what you don't want to see in a relationship, what you don't want to see with regards to your job, what you don't want to see with regards to a leader, you know, the hero worship that's out there with regards to celebrities and leaders, and they can do no wrong. Well, that's all about to crash and burn, and has been for some time now. But, you know, those people that are still in those pockets who don't want to awaken and don't want to see the truth of duality in all, in everybody. Everyone is dualistic. There's a bit of light, there's a bit of darkness. And, you know, the days of putting people onto pedestals is long overdue to be over. But that doesn't mean then throwing rotten tomatoes at everybody, that you're not who I thought you were. It's about trying to get the balance that Saturn is bringing to us, where we just see people as human beings, that you can be the most amazing, I don't know, artist, but you can also be very flawed in another area. It's very anti-cancel culture, actually, which is where we throw the baby out with the bathwater. That I'm not saying that, you know, people that have done wrong shouldn't be brought to justice, of course. That is a given, and that's very Saturn. It's about, you know, law and order and responsibility and taking accountability for things that have been done. But, you know, the whole cancel culture thing, whereby somebody can be absolutely brilliant at something, but maybe they've got one particular belief that they really passionately believe, but that's enough to get them thrown out of the library, or, you know, or anything else. So starting to, and is only starting, I feel as though humanity generally is literally still wearing what are those things they put on bikes, you know, stabilizers. It's like we've still got stabilizers on. We've still got our water bands on with regards to trying to get to grips with, oh, okay, well, I love your music, but I hate your politics. Or, but that doesn't mean I hate you. It just means I don't particularly like that particular thing that you stand for or you keep going on about, but I love your music. I'm not going to diss that. Starting to see somebody as a whole person. Now, some of us are better at that than others, and I think many of us on this channel are better than the vast majority of people out there who are still firmly in the camp of you're either in or you're out. You're either good or you're bad. Most people are a mixture of everything. So Saturn in Aries definitely bringing all of that in, and it's really going to fire up some people who are just not going to want to go there, not going to want to look at it. But it's coming. It's coming. So forewarned is forearmed. Okay, let's see. I feel as though there's one other card from here. Saturn in Aries. Anything else for now that we need to be talking about or understanding? Saturn in Aries. Metamorphosis. I'll show you the card in a moment. It's card number 11. Of course it's card number 11. What is number 11? Those of you that are with me a long time, the 11 is the gateway, isn't it? 11 is the gateway. So card number 11, Metamorphosis. Power and strength lie within our surrender to change. I hope you can see the card okay. I know sometimes it's difficult with my artwork and my eyes. I can't do anything about having eyes, but I can cover up the artwork sometimes. Yeah, in all seriousness, can you see that card? Beautiful, isn't it? Metamorphosis. What does it say? Power and strength lie within our surrender to change. Don't resist what is coming. I mean, you can, but you're going to make it harder for yourself. I've done a thumbnail already for this video, and I can't remember what I've called it now, but it's something to do with, I think I wrote graduate or else repeat until you do. That's what I was given before I even came on to start talking to you today. Graduate, you know, Saturn in Aries, this period through till 2028, you're being given an opportunity to graduate, or you're just going to have to keep repeating the year. Okay, nobody wants to keep repeating the year. It's the analogy of being at school. You haven't been taking any notice of what's been going on in maths. You haven't been taking any notice. You've been staring out the window, chewing gum, you know, thinking about the boy in year 8 or whatever it is, you know. No, you have to pass the year. There's this thing here, back to this first card about God, Source, being with us. God actually wanting us to graduate. What does that mean? Evolve, get to the next level. Saturn in Aries in many ways is about the next level that we're striving to get to, but it's also the great leveler, I'm hearing. Let me write that down, the great leveler. What do we mean by that, Metatron, the great leveler? Because ultimately Metatron is saying everybody has got something that they have to work on. There is nobody in your friendship group, there is nobody online, there is nobody in your family that doesn't have a blind spot, doesn't have something to work on. And I tell you what, the people that shout the loudest that I don't have one are the ones that probably have got the biggest one. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to be completely aware of what this is yet. You will be shown. Oh yes, you will be shown. I will be shown. I already know. But, you know, it'll become more and more obvious. But with that uncomfortableness that comes from shining a light on what we don't want to look at, remember we've got the raw passion of Aries. We've got that youthful vigour that actually wants us to succeed. Doesn't want us just to stop and look over the edge and say, no, it's too dangerous, I'm not going there. You've got Saturn coming in who takes your hand and says, together we can do this. But you're going to actually have to listen to what I'm saying. And what that means is, you know, listening to your higher self, listening to maybe somebody wise, a mentor, with discernment, of course, not being easily led, but, you know, being nourished by the right sources. You're not going to have to do this alone. Okay, so metamorphosis and rebirth. I feel as I should maybe just pull a couple of cards from my own deck. I've talked about self-mastery, so let's just see. Let's start with Metatron. I sort of feel as though the Karma card might come through, but I don't know. Let's just have a look. Okay, so Archangel Metatron. And also how Metatron can help us over the next couple of years. Saturn in Aries. I'm being shown the two energies of Metatron and Sandalphon, Archangel Sandalphon, as being the umbrella and the root. So Metatron being like this umbrella energy above us, Sandalphon being this container beneath us. So being held above and below, as above, so below. But remembering that whatever's going on, look what's on the bottom of the deck, God's sake. Whatever, we've got the Tree of Life. You are here somewhere on the tree. I was tuning into the card before I even saw it. You are here somewhere on the tree. Metatron is up here at Kether. He is above. Sandalphon is down here below at Malkuth. he is below. This is the material world. This is the spiritual world. You are here. You are merging the two. Wherever you are on the tree of life now, and whichever branch of the tree of life that you're going to be moving to or experiencing over the next couple of years, you're held by both archangels, by both Archangel Metatron and Archangel Sandalphon. And you can call on either of them because they form this perfect balance with each other. So we have the tree of life, and actually the card that's come out, I am going to take that, it says travel on. Travel on. You've got no choice. You've got no choice. Now, travel on can also mean the Rainbow Bridge, and we've also, wow, it really does mean this. Look at these three cards. We've got, it doesn't mean you're about to pass. Please just hear me out what I wanted to say here. This is collective. There's a mass exodus of souls over this Saturn in Aries period. We have the Rainbow Bridge, we have endings, and we have fly free, freedom. That could not be clearer, particularly when we've got the Tree of Life card, and the Tree of Life is ultimately you come down from spirit, you come to earth, and then you work your way back up to spirit. There are going to be many souls that choose to pass over during this time period, and it's going to be a lesson for do I really want to go there? It's going to be a lesson with regards to that. Don't really want to get into that in this video. I just want to say that I believe in soul contracts. I believe that people go when they're meant to go, and if it's already been decided, it's already been decided. But there's a wave. There's quite a large number of people that are traveling over the Rainbow Bridge, because it is their ending and it is time for them to fly free. But the other thing about the Rainbow Bridge is it works both ways, because there's also a lot of, yeah, it's interesting, I've never seen this before. Metatron saying these cards can also be read in reverse. So it's like a changing of the baton. So there's souls coming down from spirit because their time in the spirit world is coming to an end, and they want to experience, they want to be free of that. They actually want to feel the freedom of, believe it or not, what can be felt here on earth. Now, when we are feeling a bit cynical and stuck, we can be like, God, this doesn't feel like freedom. This feels like heavy. But no, from a soul's perspective, this is a playground. This is a playground. That's why people come. That's why souls come. So it's going to be quite a busy highway, is what Metatron is saying. He's showing me as a superhighway with lots of souls exiting, but lots of souls coming back in. Interesting, I said lots of souls coming back in. Why did I say that? I'm just going to go with what I said. It feels as though, you see, I know this is a very Buddhist belief. I believe it's a Buddhist belief. I have a sister-in-law who's a Buddhist who told me this. So maybe it's just particular parts of Buddhism. So help me out, you Buddhists out there who watch me. But I believe that the Buddhist faith is that they believe that if you are going to come back, you come back very quickly. So there's something here about a speedy turnaround is what I'm feeling, Metatron's saying. Souls that exit but then come back very quickly, and in particular they come back into the same family very quickly. This is really interesting, and it's to do with family cycles needing to be completed, family dramas, family traumas, family pain having to be completed. Because it is a generational cycle. It's a generational cleanup that is happening here. But this just feels really fast. So where are we now? We're in May 2025, and it goes on till April 2028. Between those dates, we have a lot of people exiting, but also coming back into the same family. So watch for that. And watch for that. But it's all good, actually. I mean, although loss is loss and it's painful and there's no escaping that, there's also joy. It's the dichotomy of life. It's the rainbow. It's the sunshine and the rain. You can't have a rainbow without the sunshine and the rain. So this superhighway, the people leaving aren't necessarily feeling loss, although they are if maybe they obviously don't want to leave their children or something like that. But there's joy because they're going towards the light, but the tears are earthbound, the people that are left. But try not to grieve too deeply, is what I want to say, because, and I know that's difficult, but when we grieve too deeply and we cry and we cry and we cry, that vibration is felt by the ones that have gone, and it doesn't actually help them. So to try to just remember them with a smile, and try to remember them with a smile and with happiness and with joy, sends that joy to them. They feel that lightness. But anyway, the souls coming in are just like whooshing in. These are Aryan souls coming in. And what I mean by that is I'm talking literally about the fire sign Aries. It doesn't have to just be Aries, but they feel very fiery. You see, at the moment, I don't know what proportion of the world has different star signs. It's probably relatively evenly balanced. I don't know. But I just have noticed myself that in the spiritual community, maybe just my little part of the spiritual community, I can't talk for the whole spiritual community, but I've just noticed, for example, when I channel people, the Heart Squad, an inordinate amount of Cancerians. I myself I'm Cancerian, but it's like, oh, it's another Cancerian. It's another Cancerian. It's very watery. So it feels almost as though we're going to get a lot of fire signs coming in, which will be distributed between all of them. So that would also be Leo, wouldn't it? And Aries, and I can't remember what the last one is. Is it Sagittarius? I should know, I know. But anyway, whatever they are, they're coming in. How exciting is that? And they're going to bring in a lot of life and a lot of fun and a lot of, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. But it's going to be tempered with this Saturn influence. Just asking Metatron what type of families they're coming up. No, okay, I'm going a step too far with that. I don't mean it's something I can't ask, it's just I felt like that was me stepping in. I wasn't getting that from Spirit. Okay, so I'll leave that bit. Okay, so that was the Metatron deck. Let's see what we get from the Christ Consciousness deck. Saturn in Aries. Saturn in Aries. Saturn in Aries and Christ Consciousness. This is a really weird analogy. I'm being shown a sandwich. Saturn is one piece of the bread, Aries is the other piece of the bread, and in the moment, in the middle is the jam, and the jam is Christ consciousness, but it's getting a bit squashed by these other very dominant energies. Feels like a strange bedfellow, really, but then again, Christ consciousness, heart-centered consciousness has managed to survive through all ages and actually survive during the most odd times and the toughest times. So you're never going to look at a jam sandwich in the same way again. Oh, I could just eat one of them. Right, Christ consciousness. Focus, Amanda. Saturn in Aries, Christ consciousness. Something a bit odd here. Saturn in Aries and Christ consciousness. Clash of the Titans is what I'm hearing. I think the Saturn bit is old church, old tradition, old dogma. This is the way we do things. This is the way we've always done things. Read that place in that book. That'll give you the answer. That's Saturn when it's not working well. That's actually a perversion, really, of Saturn, because Saturn is the wise teacher. But I'm just getting this twisted sort of Saturn energy here. But then I'm getting like these firebrand energies, these very ideologically bright, enthusiastic, dynamic energies coming in and challenging it, and almost like, I don't think this is literal, but I'm almost being shown something like the Vatican vaults being just burst open. It's almost like the storming of the citadel type energy, you know? It's like we will be shown the truth. And then in the middle of all of this chaos is Christ consciousness, which is just Jesus sitting there amidst all of it, just saying, come back to me. But it's come back to me with regards to not necessarily the church. You can if you want, but just come back to the me means come back to the heart. Come back to the heart. You know, come back to the heart. One card, Saturn in Aries, Christ consciousness. Yeah, now I've said that, it's feeling a bit lighter. I needed to say that. What's fallen out? Gentleness. We've also got the open door. That's literally what I just said. Christ, this says, what does it say? It says, Christ is within you, the open door. And it's come with the card of gentleness, respond softly. Yes, okay, I understand now. Wasn't quite getting it. So the Christ consciousness energy just being very soft, very gentle, very beautiful, sublime, grace. It's grace. But somehow trying to find its place within what can be very chaotic over the next couple of years. Because again, there's also an authoritarian energy that can come in with Saturn. You will do as I say, you know, you will obey, you know, these are my commands. I'm not talking about God, I'm talking about man, you know, leadership, government, structure. But old structure that is too rigid is just going to be, I just keep feeling like the storming of the citadel. That's that type of energy. But the crucialness of Christ consciousness and the gentleness being the antidote to all of that. Antidote's not even quite the right word, because they both need, it all needs to happen, basically. It all needs to happen, but it's about coming back to the heart, coming back to gentleness. Gentleness is the template. Responding softly is our job. We've also got the card of enlightenment and abundance. There's some very, very positive cards. You know, those first cards that I showed you, where were they? From the starry deck, had, I think I've put them back in the deck now, but it was to do with, you know, God being present. We had the star card, the wish card, the dream card. And this is lovely as well. We've got the card of abundance. We've got the card of continuing to grow, enlightenment. It's a really, really interesting period coming back. And yeah, we're going to have to come back to this, I think, over and over again. So that is my preview. That is my entree to this whole subject. Remember, we were talking about the colours. So I was recommending the Violet Dragon. I'll put the link below to that. I think that'll be brilliant. We've also got aura sprays, obviously linked into Christ Light and Jesus. We also looked at the Kali Ma energy, which feels very sort of passionate, and it depends where you're at. We're all at different places. For me, because I've got Saturn on the midheaven, I always believe what Steve has always said, which is that as you get older, Saturn starts to lessen its grip on you a bit. You know, you understand it better, and I do now. I don't rail against authority in the way that I used to, although I tell you what, I always need to be self-employed. But you know, there's just that energy of loving Saturn now, whereas I didn't when I was younger. So for me, I think the Aries energy feels really interesting. It's like, oh, you know, that feels exciting. Let's do something that's exciting and not as constrained. But others of you might have been in that very red Aries place, you know, doing whatever you're doing and having a great time and adventure. You see, adventure is a red energy. Saturn is very much about work. Well, I've done loads of work over decades, you know, including as a child. Now the Aries energy is saying, come and play, come and have an adventure. It's like, oh yeah, but of course you've got to get the balance right, because you've also still got to work. But you might be coming at it from the other perspective, where you need the structure of Saturn and you need to knuckle down and do a bit more work, you know. So it's all different for everybody. But and I'm saying that because remember, the colours are there to help you. So for me, that red energy is feeling very inviting, but I do really like the combination of it with the violet. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to thank you for your time and your energy and your love and your support. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a little like. Helps get it beyond the normal people that watch this video to new people. And I'm going to be back soon. I will just tell you what other videos I've got coming up without putting any pressure on myself, which is very Saturnian. You've got to do it the next day because you've said you're going to do it. No, let's be a little bit more light. I want to do a video on AI, and this is a big one, so it's important I get this right, although we're all learning all the time. But I just mean it actually does need to be structured in terms of what I want to say, but I also need the inspiration coming in, which is the red energy. I've also got a very important surprise Heart Squad guest coming soon who I've never channeled before, and I'm going to tell you, this is the first time I've ever put a request out to anybody in spirit to say, I would really love to channel you. Would you let me? And I think she's softening. She's softening. So, but I'm not going to tell you who that is because it's just between her and me now. The deal is not done yet. The deal is not done, but I want to do that. Also, as I say, live stream for the Diamond members on Saturday, and I don't know, there's just a lot going on. I'll just keep a presence, and thank you, I appreciate you. It is now nearly 12 o'clock on Sunday. I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee, and then I will go and play. Try to play. You see, those of us with strong Saturn energy, we find it hard to do that. So that's our task over the next couple of years. Learn how to do it. But for others of you, as I say, it might be a case of sit down at the desk, knuckle down, do it. Life is a dance. You've just got to learn the rhythm. Take great care of yourself. Bye-bye for now. Bye.